Good day everyone, I'm Erica Galas, second reporter of Chapter 7. My topic is all about using statistics and supporting your ideas. In making a speech, you need to support your ideas by giving evidences to make it more believable. And statistics is one of them. So what is statistics? Statistics, these are numerical data. Most of us would be hard-pressed to say, yet we feel more secure in our knowledge when we can express it numerically. So, statistics, when we use properly, is an effective way to clarify and support our ideas. For example, the speech of President Duterte in combating poverty, wherein he started his speech about how many percentage or rate of the Filipino population living below the poverty line. Filipinos who struggles to afford basic necessities, and then he also states his plans to reduce the rate of poverty by targeting education, healthcare, and overall economy. He also included to continue to support the poor peace, wherein he stated that 20 million Filipinos and 9 million children are going to benefit with the said program. And all the Filipinos who suffered in poverty are rooting to be part of that program. As you can see, by using statistics, it can clarify or strengthen a speaker points. Statistics can also be used in combination to show the magnitude or seriousness of an issue. Let's understand statistics more. We know that numbers do not lie, but they can be manipulated and distorted. One can play with statistics in all kinds of areas. The point is that there is usually more to statistics than meets the eye. You can track down statistics for your own speeches. Be sure to evaluate them in the light of these three questions. First, are statistics representative? In these questions, it says that you have to make sure that your statistics are representative of what they claim to measure. Also, it should mirror the proportion of the respondent or group. Second, are statistical measures used correctly? I am sure you are familiar with the mean, median, and mode, right? The mean, popularly called the average, it means it is determined by summing all the items in a group and then dividing by the number of the items. Second is the median. It is the middle figure in a group of one's figure are put in order from highest to lowest. And then the mode, it is the number that occurs most frequently in a group of numbers. All of these measures have the same goal, like to indicate what is typical or characteristics of a certain group of numbers. Yet we see how different the results are depending on which measure you use. Lastly, are the statistics from a reliable source? As a speaker, you must be aware of possible bias in the use of numbers, since statistics can be interpreted so many ways and put so many uses. You should seek figures gathered by objective, non-partisan sources. Here are the tips for using statistics in your speech. First, use statistics to quantify your ideas. The main value of statistics is to give your ideas numerical precision. This can be especially important when you are trying to document the existence of the problem. For example, they introduce us to GovInsco, one of the leaders of the Beyond War movement in the 1980s. Ainscough gave talks trying to raise awareness of the dangers of nuclear weapons. He wanted to show us that the US and the USSR possess weapons capable of destroying the Earth several times over. But simply quoting figures of nuclear weapons stockpiles was not a way to make the message stick. So after setting the scene, Ainscough would take a BB pellet and drop it into a steel bucket where it should make a loud noise. The pellet represented the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. Ainscough would then describe the devastation at Hiroshima. Next, he would take 10 pellets and drop them in the bucket where they made 10 times as much noise. They represented the nuclear firepower on a single nuclear submarine. Finally, he poured 5,000 pellets into a bucket, one of its nuclear warhead in the world. As you can see in the example, they use statistics to support or to quantify the idea on how powerful nuclear weapon is. Research has shown that the impact of examples are greatly enhanced when they are all combined with the statistics that shows the examples to be typical. Second, use statistics sparingly. It means that as helpful as statistics can be, nothing puts an audience to sleep faster than a speech cluttered with numbers from beginning to the end, because it makes the speech boring to the audience. So, it is suggested to insert statistics only when they are needed, and then make sure they are easy to grasp. Third, identify the sources of your statistics. Figures are easy to manipulate. This is why careful listeners keep an ear out of the sources of a speaker's statistics. As a speaker, mentioning the sources of your statistics would make your speech more successful. Fourth, explain your statistics. Statistics do not speak for themselves. They need to be interpreted and related to your listeners. Explaining statistics is particularly important when you deal with the large numbers, since they are hard to visualize, right? Whenever you use statistics in your speech, think of how you can make them meaningful to your audience. Find a way to bring the figures home at your audience. Fifth, round off complicated statistics, intriguing figures, and for those that are too complicated to be readily understood by the listeners, unless there is an important reason to give an exact number, you should round them off. According to the authors of statistical publications, we should use the specific recommendations are based on the three increasing levels of approximation, while the detailed figures from data, for example, the year base, should not be charged when preparing graphs and maps, which is the level 0. They should be partially rounded for compiling tables in level 1. And lastly, the rounded even further when writing text in level 2. For example, in level 0, graphs and maps should be built using unrounded figures from the original datasets. For example, in level 0, 12.34% and 56.789% is equal to 1,234 and 56,789 persons. For the example of level 1, we have 12.3% and 56.8% is equals to 1,200 and 56,800 persons. While in level 2, we have 12% and 57%, and the equivalent of those is 1,257,000 persons. Lastly, use visual aids to clarify statistical trends. Visual aids can save you a lot of time. It will also make your listeners easily understand and comprehend your statistics. Interesting statistics build a good speech, and in visual aids will be of big help towards attainment of a better understanding of a speaker and the listener. For the generalization, statistics can be extremely helpful in conveying your message as long as you use them sparingly and make them meaningful to your audience. Above all, you should understand your statistics and use them fairly. Make sure your figures are representative of what they claim to measure, that you use your statistical measures correctly, and that you take statistics from reliable sources. That's all my report. Thank you for listening.